Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of the RRBG podcast. Please don't forget to check out the Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG and check out what we got. We have some exclusive interviews that I did at Psycho Las Vegas. I'm going to be uploading videos of the RRBG live shows that I've been doing and much more. Sign up today, support the podcast so we can keep growing. Patreon.com/RRBG. In this episode, I talked to Jessica Pimentel. She is a badass actress, star of Orange is the New Black on Netflix. She's also the vocalist for the band Alekhine's Gun. And she does some guest spots in the band Brujeria. We talk about her career. We talk about music. We talk about acting. We talk about society and social media. And we talk about meditation and Buddhism. It was a really great conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Follow her on Instagram at TheCrusher007. And make sure to check out the band Alekhine's Gun. Cheers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. I am here with Jessica Pimentel.
Muy bien.
Yeah, you're Dominican, right? Or part Dominican?
I'm a mishmash of things, but my family did come here from the Dominican Republic, but we're a bunch of things, basically.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up in Jersey and like West New York with a bunch of, like in a neighborhood, it was like Cubans, Puerto Ricans, and Dominicans.
Great. Sounds like fights every day. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it was fights. It was fire hydrants with the water out in the summer in the street and like
Excellent.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Everybody hanging out on the portal, just in the front, just chilling.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, so that's kind of just our Brooklyn culture is the stoop.
Yep.
You're gonna hang out on the stoop, and everybody knows. Watch each other walk by, and say hello to your neighbors, all that type stuff. So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I remember when Brooklyn was not what it is now. I remember growing up and Brooklyn was scary, and then visiting as an adult, and I'm like, oh well, this is fine. There's craft breweries and ramen
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always still some scary parts, here and there, of course. But I mean, I was lucky. I didn't grow up in a scary part of Brooklyn. I wouldn't say so much. I grew up in Cobble Hill. Which is just a very neighborhood type area. Families that had been there for generations at this point. Like you and your grandma went to the same junior high or something like that.
Oh, geez.
So it's a different type of vibe. There's like the Latin part, the Italian part, the Irish part, and just everything. It was not as segregated as some neighborhoods tend to be. You have like $1 million. Millionaire people living a couple blocks from the projects, and basically it just didn't matter. We were more, as kids, more into like what kind of music you liked than how much money you had, sort of deal.
Well, that's good. We need more of that. Where I grew up, like I said, it was very segregated. It was just hood rats.
Gotcha.
And I mean, we were nice people. We weren't like robbing each other or anything like that. But it was just, we were
robbing each other, completely pointless.
Yeah, right.
Just take that same $20 back and forth.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's cool to hear that there are communities like that because I feel like we need that a lot, especially now. There's just not a whole bunch of people being together on one thing, and people like yourself, you're such a successful person. You exist in like, a few worlds because you're a star in Netflix, right? You have this hit show, Orange is the New Black, that just recently ended. But then you also exist in the metal world where you have a band and you're also singing with like Brujeria, which is unheard of.
Pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of strange. I mean, I started off as a musician first.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's
when you were young, right? Really, really young.
Yeah, as a child, I started playing music. I mean, music was always part of our family. We had, sing-alongs, and singing in church was part of the weekly, ritual. I had to learn a song for every Sunday to sing in front of the congregation. And my next door neighbor happened to be a concert violinist who gave me violin classes when I was, I think about 4 years old. It started, and then from then on, growing up with my mom was a single mom. She did have help from her sisters and my grandmother and everything. But there's, you want to keep your kids out of trouble. You want to have them doing stuff. So music was my after school thing. So I would go to my music classes. I had chamber classes. I had chamber orchestra, and solo violin lessons. So that kept me very busy as a child. So kind of, keep you out of harm's way. You're in good, you're in good hands learning something, nice.
You're not. Hello?
Not running the streets, basically. Can you
hear
me?
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit.
Lose you?
Hello?
Uh-oh.
There? Hello?
Okay, let me see if I... Damn it, back in those Brooklyn Wi-Fi.
Well, you guys don't have, what is it, fiber or whatever, Google Fibers out there?
Not here. I mean, I still live in the old school part of Brooklyn, which is quickly gentrifying to my dismay, which I feel my entire pattern of life here is any neighborhood that I move into. Just take note, because 5 years from now, that's going to be the it place to live. That's just how it's always felt.
What if it's your fault? Oh, my God.
I see. I mean, it started with Williamsburg when there were still wild packs of dogs running around. We used to call each other and meet up so we could make it to the train together because we didn't want to get attacked by dogs.
Yeah.
Or people. And then Astoria, then Bushwick, and then Gowanus. So, it just keeps going and going. So I think I'm going to be on a houseboat next if anyone wants to join me there.
That becomes the next big thing. Everybody's living on a houseboat.
I know, because it's just pushing me further and further further.
Right. And you're gonna have food trucks, but they're actual boats, and they're just passing by.
Submarine trucks. That's it. No hipster can find it, and now it's going to make it even more appealing to hipsters.
Oh my God! Yeah, they'll start buying scuba gear. It becomes a new thing. It becomes a fashion statement at their clubs or whatever that they go to.
If you're the hipster that can find that taqueria, is on. You're like the king of hipsters.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so crazy. It's such a, I don't know how I feel about it. Cause some of it's fine, but some of it just, you're taking away too much of the culture of that area, I guess.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. When you're taking away the mom and pop shops and putting in chains, then you take away the culture. There's nothing wrong with having 100 great restaurants. That's awesome. But when you take away the people that actually make the neighborhood, give the neighborhood flavor, that's when whether you're in Park Slope or you're in Corona is by what's around you. That's the character of the neighborhood. When you start taking that away, then, excuse me, taking that away, then that really, then what's the point? Then we can be anywhere. I mean, you can walk down the street in Nashville, you can walk down the street in San Antonio, you can walk down anywhere, and it all starts to look the same. Then we're really missing the point of being a New Yorker.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. And I see it happening in Cuba too. I saw Conan O'Brien out in Cuba eating sushi. And I'm like, yo, what?
It's over.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Conan O'Brien is eating sushi in Cuba? Get out of here. That's it.
That's it. That's the apocalypse. That's the third sign of the apocalypse, I think. Conan O'Brien eating sushi. It's in the book somewhere.
So let me ask you, since you grew up with music, but it sounds like you grew up around church and around Latin families. When did the lean over to the dark side of metal? When did that happen?
When my friend handed me a King Diamond Conspiracy in the 7th grade.
Nice.
I think that was it. I mean, I listen to music all the time. It's just part of always has been. Saturdays, I would have a Saturday morning dance party. It would be cartoons, and then you'd listen to the Casey Kasem Top 100, on Z100, listen to everything. And I tend to like the more rock and roll stuff. I like the Bon Jovi and the Motley Crue stuff. I thought that was really cool, and their attitude and and I remember hearing Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll, seeing that video for the first time and thinking wow, she's got a really good idea. Yeah. When I grow up, I want to be like her. She was just so tough and badass and confident, powerful, and sexy without being over the top, kind of sexualized. I just always drew myself towards that kind of energy, that vibe, that tough, strong, powerful vibe. But then rock and roll and all that, we had a lot of great radio stations growing up in New York, and for that I'm thankful, for sure, because we have, NPR and shows like New Sounds that would play Glenn Branca one day, and then like Pi Gamelan Orchestra another day, and then like Elvis Costello another day. So I got introduced to all that, and then we had great classic rock stations that played, all the classic Sabbath and Maiden and Allman Brothers and Hendrix and The Doors. But then when I heard King Diamond for the first time, that really resonated strongly with me.
Yeah.
Because I was a classical musician. I had always been in orchestras, always playing classical music. And the introduction of King Diamond, is so classically written. And the way Andy LaRocque plays is just so well structured. It's just so like meticulous and pristine, the way he plays. So I was instantly gravitated towards that. But then it had this magical quality to it, these stories that came alive. And, that's still kind of when you still have that imagination that makes you afraid of the closet. I was afraid of the closet for 2 weeks after listening to that album. So I think that's something really special that, you can listen to an album and get freaked out by it, like as badly as watching a horror film. There's something to be said about that power. And the lyrical content was a story, took you away somewhere. It wasn't about, oh, my boyfriend doesn't love me, or I need a nice car, or your ass is big. Right. It was just something really cool. It was a work of art. Yeah. So that's kind of where that started. And then getting into that, then Metallica, then, then being allowed to go to shows and getting into the hardcore scene. I mean, hardcore is really where I grew up. I grew up in the pits of the New York City hardcore life and played in hardcore bands. My first bands were all hardcore bands, playing bass or screaming, and just the freeing vibe of that whole scene was just incredible. I mean, I grew up in a time where hardcore, metal, punk, ska, all that stuff was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was exposed to all of that stuff all at once. So I feel pretty lucky for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's such a good experience to be a part of that community and growing up in it.
You have friends for life from around the world. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Every year we have this Black and Blue Bowl, used to be the Super Bowl of hardcore, and people fly in from all over the world, and you see them on this weekend, and it's just like family reunion time. And also, you feel like anywhere you go, you see someone in a Slayer shirt, you point, you're like, Slayer, they Slayer, right back, and that's kind of that bond, that's always there. But I mean, still, it's. Anyway, continue. I cut you off.
No, it's fine. It's such a cool thing, and it's once you find that one band that gets you into that world, it's a never-ending adventure for you, because now you're just discovering all this crazy stuff and you're allowing yourself to enjoy it. Because for me, it was a similar thing. I grew up in a very Catholic private school situation, very strict, and my family would listen to like the Bee Gees and like Boney M, and, which is great. I love that stuff. But then as I started getting away from the school and growing up, I guess I found myself, just when I finally had money, I went to a store and I bought the first thing I could find that I remember someone telling me not to listen to. Like, I remember, like, my parents saying, don't listen to Marilyn Manson or Pantera, or don't listen to...
That's the first thing you're going to go for.
Exactly. I'm like, all right, I'm buying all of this. And
that's it.
I bought one of those old school, like, cassette suitcases, and I just filled it up with everything I could find. Like Nine Inch Nails, I got Danzig, I got some, everything. And... yeah, and then once I got into that, that was it. I was like, I need to be on a stage. I need to play in a band. Like, this is my life now. And it really does. It overwhelms you. It, like, takes over your life,
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's just to see that there are people out there. I think maybe people like us, and I don't want to generalize and say people like us, but certain people that just never felt like everyone else.
Right.
You're not like... When I grow up, I want the house, the car, the picket fence, the kids, the this, the that, the what do you call them? The benchmarks, the same as
the
everyone
American
else.
dream.
You know? Yeah, not everyone is into those benchmark type of things.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some of us tend to ponder the world a little bit in a different way, maybe in a darker, more cynical way at times, or some of us kind of are wired dark. I don't like to say depressed. I like to say kind of wired dark.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us see things, the glass half empty first, or you see, the clouds and not the blue sky behind it.
Right.
So people like that, I feel we tend to gravitate towards music that's a little heavier and maybe a little less accessible, because we are a little heavier, a little less accessible, kind of resonates with us.
True.
So that is a comfort in turn, and not an amplifier, but just a comfort to know that there are other people like you and that you're totally normal for being like that. That is also normal.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. And, I give you props because you're going in there and you're fronting a band. I don't know how to pronounce it. Alekhine?
Alekhine's Gun.
Alekhine's Gun. Okay. Alekhine's Gun. And you're fronting it, and it's death metal. And it's typically, not in the last couple of years, but, growing up, that was typically like a boys club thing. And you coming out and fronting it. It still is predominantly male run, I guess. Yeah. But there has been like Oathbreaker and a few other, female fronted death metal bands that have come out recently that I'm super impressed with. And, it's one of those things that it's a challenge, right? I would assume it is, for you to get accepted like that and into the culture, because even though metalheads are always so welcoming, it seems like I can always bring anybody to a metal show and everybody's like hugging and whatever, but still you have that weird, like, hey, it's just a bunch of dudes, You know what I mean?
I like dudes, so it's great to be outnumbered at times.
No, yeah, for sure.
Well, I think for us, once we start, I can't wait till I'm just a musician or just a front person, when I'm not a female bass player or a female vocalist.
Right.
That just doesn't matter, because I can't hit Tom Araya's notes if I tried, So it's like, what makes it different? Because my pitch is higher? No. Or because my pitch is not low enough? No. Because everyone has a unique voice, no matter what their body parts are or their mental, their identification, their pronouns. That one thing has nothing to do with another.
Yeah.
It's what it is the instrument that you have, the body that you're working with, and your experience that you bring, and your technique. That's with everything. That's with all things, not just music. So I guess it's, because it's such a boys club, maybe some men still feel threatened, some boys still feel threatened, but for the most part, I do see that changing, little by little changing. And as long as we don't fall into the trap of saying, oh, female this and female that, and just say musician, person, that will start to go away. And there won't be this us versus them feeling anymore, because I know plenty of female musicians who are 1,000 times better than some dudes who are famous, who can't even tune their own instruments, but because they're a female player, they get scrutinized 1,000 times more.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So she could play 1,000 right notes and play one wrong note. Oh, because she's a girl. Girls can't. Well, I know dudes that don't even play. They got their guitar tech playing behind the amp for them.
Oh,
so
my
please.
God. Oh, my God.
So please. It's just like what we choose to believe. So once that kind of broness, which I feel is kind of coming, going away a little bit, that bro factor goes down some, I think it'll be fun. Because I know chicks that can punch just as hard as any dude out there. So there's not even a question of that either.
For sure. No, I've definitely gotten a fist in the eye during a pit from a girl that I'm just like, oh, God, I'm done.
I told you 1,000 times, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
It's just
we used to go in with oversized jeans and hoodies and masks on so that no one would treat us differently in a pit.
That's awesome.
Because we wanted to dance too. So we would just go in completely people would just think we're just small boys going in.
Yeah, because there is that weird moment when you see a pit and then there's a girl in there and the guys end up backing up or oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, I want to dance, and they're like, no. It's like if I was afraid to get hit, I wouldn't be standing here. So leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. Please understand that we're smart enough to know what we're doing.
Right.
I appreciate the chivalry, but I might want to punch you or whatever. I'm not afraid. I can duck. I think I have the motor reflexes for that.
That's what some dudes just need to get punched in the face, like pretty hard.
Sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. Yeah. Not that I'm condoning violence, ladies and gentlemen. We grew up in a different time too.
Right.
I think kids were much more violent when I was a kid.
For
than
sure.
They are now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you're fighting the streets.
They're very kind.
Yeah.
They're very kind. There's a lot of pushing and like giggling, which is much different.
And usually, if somebody falls, somebody will reach out to pick you up.
That still is true, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
As it should be, because we are there to have fun. We're not there to actually hurt people. Well, some people are, but you spot them right away and you avoid them. That's it. Grow up.
Yeah. I ended up taking this like weird role. I used to get really into just going to every show, just to go to every pit, and like I would look for the dudes that were trying to hurt people. Like the dudes that I would watch them for like 2 or 3 songs. I'm like, that dude is intentionally just trying to kick someone in the stomach or trying to hurt somebody. So I would wait and huh?
Uh-huh.
No, yeah, I was
the slick backwards punch.
Yeah, like if I see them doing that shit, I just stand close to them and wait for them to get near me. And once they start aiming at me, that's when I'm like, okay, you're going down. I'm holding you down.
Yeah.
I'll just grapple them to the ground and like hold them there, like stop. They're like, oh, okay.
Be nice. Yeah, I don't find that so much anymore. Even in hardcore pits, I think this like I say younger generation, like I'm a million years old. Well, I feel a million years old sometimes. But this younger generation, they're kind of, I don't know, they're way chiller than we were.
I hope so. I have seen like videos of, apparently there's like hip hop shows like my sister's been going to, the Suicide Boys and like Ghost Main or whatever. And it's hip hop, but they're moshing. And,
yeah.
But it seems, it's cute. It's not violent at all. They're just bouncing around,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So okay. Tell me a little bit about Alekhine's gun. Where does that name come from?
Alexander Alekhine Alexandrovich, one of the greatest chess players of all time, and he discovered a move with the queen backed by her 2 rooks, flanked by her 2 rooks in a single straight line called the Alekhine's gun, named after him, of course.
Wow.
In that position with those 3 pieces, you cover every square on the board, basically, and it's called an endgame move. Once you see that, it's over for you. So when we first started off, we were a 3-piece.
Okay,
That's where you get the history of that name.
God damn, that's a good story.
We wanted something a little different that wasn't like so traditional, like traditional death metal names or traditional black metal names or like what and one of our Leo was working at a chess store at that point in time in the village. Sorry, I'm like running around at the same time. So Leo was working at a chess shop in the village, and that came to mind, from that. That was inspired by that. And since it was the 3 of us, the queen and the 2 rooks, that kind of, it just seemed fitting, and it was like nothing else that anyone else was named after. It wasn't after like, some violent act or some black metal, I don't know, gods of Satan or I don't know. We just wanted to stand out. We just wanted to do something different because we felt that we were different because we weren't straight anything. We weren't straight black metal. We weren't straight death metal. We all came from the hardcore scene. We played together in a band called Desolate, which is like a tough guy groove metal hardcore band.
Nice.
We wanted to reflect that. We also tried to reflect that with our logo. It's like very often the only logo you can read on a flyer that we play on.
That's true. Most death metal bands, it's tree branches and.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes about the whole symbol, the symbolic, the way the balance of the piece looks, the name looks, and you recognize it more by the shape than by trying to figure out what their letters are. But we are always very clear.
Yeah.
Our logo is very clear.
I think it's important, if you're trying to make this you're trying to put it out there and get people listening to it, people need to know how to find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think we also wanted to make it very clear that we weren't going to be like everyone else, that we're not like everyone else.
Right.
And that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get, if you like black metal, you may or may not like us. You like death metal, you may or may not like us. You like hardcore, you may or may not like us. We don't want to be put in one category, and we never tried to be.
Huh. And are you still singing with Brujeria? Like doing backup vocals?
Yes. It's the Bruja shows have always been kind of special occasions.
Okay.
So depending on what countries we're going to, how much room we have, if we have to hire extra people, that all these or if I'm working, if I'm out of town, also other people are in other bands. So Brujeria is a machine of many cogs. So Bruja comes out if when asked, when needed. It's not an every time thing. So if you get to see a Bruja show, you know that that's going to be a really special show because all the pieces came together at the same time, which is awesome. But it's kind of always been like that.
I'm pretty sure I saw you at one of the shows. I'm trying to remember what show it was. But Brujeria threw like a Donald Trump piñata into the crowd and it like destroyed it.
Oh yeah.
What was that? Was that Warped Tour? Or
that was a few shows actually.
I know it was outside, and I was hanging out with the municipal waste dudes, with Dave Whitty and all that.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what show it was, though.
Could have been a lot of places. And that's kind of Brujo's favorite thing is before every show is to go piñata hunting locally. You know, that's also another thing. If we can find a piñata that day, it's on.
But that's awesome. I mean, they are very obviously like politically outspoken against Trump. I mean, is that something you get involved with? Like, are you reading the news every day? And you know,
I have to take breaks from it. I find it to be really unhealthy at times, you know, because there is such a thing as too much information. You need to just process things at the rate that you can handle. Mm-hmm. And I'm someone who has a very strong spiritual life. So I see all of this stuff is kind of like fleeting because things will change as they change, and worrying about it doesn't help me. You know, it doesn't help it change faster. Actions help it change faster, but stressing yourself out about it does not. Yeah. So I think every person has to digest their information the way they see fit and act accordingly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm the same way. I mean, my friends give me shit because we'll be at a bar talking and they bring something up and I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
I keep my opinions to myself because just as many people agree with you, just as many people disagree with you. So I don't need to spend my time, let's say, on social media waving flags and all that. I'll do my work behind the scenes. No one needs to know what I'm doing or how I feel as long as I'm making a difference, you know, in my way. I don't have the energy to fight, you know, 1 million people on social media, for example, or in a bar, because that's not going to change their opinion.
For sure.
What changes their opinion is change.
Actions. Yeah.
You changing yourself and you changing the world around you through your actions. That's how things change. But yelling people through a typewriter is not going to do a damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Amen, as they say. a woman? I don't know.
Being a celestial light.
Yeah, I it's funny because I grew up in that, you know, like I said, in Catholic school and everything. I have these, you know, like, oh my God, and Jesus Christ, and, you know, amen. Like, those words are stuck in me now. Like,
that's fine. I don't take any offense by that. I think you comes out of your face.
I do. I want them out.
So habits change, you know, slowly.
Yeah, but, for sure.
You know, but I mean, just as badly as the global news is, even just local news. I made the mistake of turning on a local, you know, channel 1, 12 minutes a day. You get your news, like 10-10 wins kind of thing. I think 10-10 wins if you're not a New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
They give you 20 minutes, and that's everything you need to know to get out of the house. Like, did the world blow up? Did the trains work? Something's on fire. Okay, what's the temperature? It's Sophia Loren's birthday. I can go out now. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
But I put on the local, you know, cable story, and I just broke down in tears. There's so many terrible things that happen just within our own little city, you know. So I'm very sensitive. I'm a sensitive person, so I cannot handle too much of that for sure.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much all the time. And I know, like, there's that argument that it's always been this way, or it's, you know, it's only a little bit worse, and we just have more access to it or something. But
absolutely, it has always been this way. I mean, think if we had no phones and newspapers and things only had to get out word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't know. I mean, I had to, like, that Citizen app thing. It has me freaked out because it's like someone got robbed on the corner 4 blocks from you. a cat is trapped in a car. There's a,
Oh my.
there's three kayakers stuck in the Gowanus Canal. You're like, oh my God, I never would have known that, unless I had that app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So this influx of information is also, quite detrimental to the human psyche. I don't think we're yet evolved to handle that much information yet, or negative information.
For sure. And nobody is meditating enough. So
no, they're not.
I try to explain it to my friends, my Latino friends, that God love them, but they're just not. Their focus is, work, 9 to 5, and pay the bills and have 4 kids. Like, that's life. There's no aspirations to do anything, like anything about the government or anything about art, anything like that. They're just living that life, and that's fine.
Because that's what they've been taught, and that's what they know, and
yeah,
so to speak. God bless them for it, but there is more to life than that. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I try to explain it to them, and it's not. It just doesn't. It doesn't process. It's.
But it processes to different people at different times. Everyone is on a different part of their spiritual, progression. Because I don't believe that this is just one life, one body, one chance.
Sure.
You just evolve within your lifetime and then later in other lifetimes. So people are in different places. If you're a survivalist, if you're a scavenger type mind, you don't care about what's happening in the world. You care about putting food on the table, and that's the most important thing to you. You do that as best as you can.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing to some people, and you can't judge them for it either, because they're thinking of a minute to minute, day to day, where some people are thinking long term, and some people are thinking beyond this life. So you have to let everyone live according to their journey, their place, their spiritual involvement.
For sure. I try my very best to do an explanation to them where it doesn't incorporate any kind of belief system, or because a lot of them get turned off when you're like, oh, meditation. They start thinking, oh, Buddhism or a religion. They associate
it with religion.
Right. And I try to explain it to them that it's the same exact thing as going to the gym. And when you go to the gym and you're working out, and let's say you're doing bicep curls, and if you don't stop doing bicep curls, your arms will stop working. You eventually stop, and then you go to bed and you rest, and your muscles grow. They break open, they expand, they heal, and they get stronger. That's how it works, right? And everybody has an understanding of how musculature works and everything. Well, think of it the same way, where your brain has been doing bicep curls your entire life, and you're not taking the time to let it rest. And the only way it rests is through meditation, because you're blanking out. Your brain isn't doing anything.
Yes and no. I would disagree with you there as a meditation teacher.
Okay. Well, yeah, I need this. Tell me more.
I've been a practicing Buddhist since the early 90s or mid 90s. Took my first official Buddhist vows in 1998. Meditation is not blanking out. It is quite the opposite. It is focusing in.
On the mantra.
It could be a mantra. It could be your breath. It could be an answer to a question. It is focusing single-pointedly as to the best of your abilities on this one subject, and learning to control your mind. Our minds never shut up. As we're walking, we're thinking about the phone bill. Did I leave the coffee pot on? What time do I have to be at the dinner party? What am I going to have for dinner? What happened to that blue sweater of mine? Oh my God, I have, this paper due. Oh, my foot hurts. Oh, your brain is doing 1,000 thoughts in a finger snap, so to speak. And that gets divided in good thoughts, negative thoughts, and neutral thoughts. So the point of meditation is to try to harness in those thoughts, to quiet the mind, so that you can focus on a greater issue, whether that be relaxation to calm the mind to get you to the next place, which could be a place of healing, could be physical healing. If you have physical pain, you can definitely ease physical pain through your thoughts. Or if that's an emotional pain, you can focus on that emotional pain and healing through that without the distraction of all the other thoughts. Or simply finding an answer to the question, like where is the self? What part of me is I? Which is a one that we use quite often. Where can I find the I in this body? So I would never say that meditation is blanking out. Blanking out is just being catatonic.
Right. I misspoke for sure. I misspoke.
You can just go to a doctor and do that. But I think that people who learn how to focus the mind, quiet the mind, experience much less stress because the mind is clear and able to make rational decisions without emotion. And that's another thing that happens. Your emotions become very even-keeled. So something happens when you're an even-keeled person. Something that might drive someone crazy, like getting cut off, becomes like, oh, that person's in a rush. That's it. Mm-hmm. And that stress of like, oh my God, that jerk that cut me off, I can't believe it. And then you chase them, and that is not going to happen anymore. And as your mind gets even more even-keeled, your life becomes more even-keeled. Your mind is your life is a reflection of your mind. So you know those people that they always have bad things seem to happen to them, and this happened and that happened. They're always stressed out, and this person did that to me and that person. It's really them, their perception of what is happening to them.
Yeah, for sure.
So
100%.
Once you learn how to neutralize those feelings, those negative thoughts, and you learn to neutralize and control your emotion, you'll realize that the world is not necessarily out to get you, or even if it is, you can handle it. It's not a problem. And it doesn't affect you personally. It doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't knock you off balance. And everything just kind of goes smoothly, and you're able to enjoy life. And with that comes inner happiness.
And that's what's most important, people. That's what's most important. Not how much money you have or how many likes you got. It's about you being happy.
I feel so sad for these kids growing up, seeing their worth in a number of little hearts next to a picture.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. It does so much damage. It's insane. It does it to me too. Like I try to avoid it, but I have the podcast, so I got to interact with it. But it gets me too. Like I'm there, and I'm like, oh well, this episode didn't do too well. It's like, fuck, no, who
what
cares?
did I do wrong? Oh no, yeah. And I see this game, especially being in my business. I had a big dilemma dealing with this social media thing, because on the one hand, you say I can be just a total fake person, and we know these actors, musicians, that they let someone else completely control their social media. Mm-hmm. Every picture is perfect, professionally taken. They have no personal interaction. You know, it's like an album, like a magazine, and I think that's really cool. You know, that's one way to do it. But then you see the people that control their own social media and want to present this "my life is better than yours" kind of thing. Every photo is glamorous. Every day is a dream. Every picture is perfect. When I know, because I've been in that room, that you took that little candid picture 36 times at the party. And then all the girls are like, no. Then they do it again. No. Then you finally get one that you all like. Then you start tweaking it. Then you face tune it. Then you put a filter on it. Then you do a caption. Then you fuck up the caption. Then you do it again. So an hour goes by for this one candid picture that's like, oops, woke up like this, or whatever the fuck you say. That it was just an accidental picture that you just took in a moment, when I know it wasn't a moment, it was an hour.
Yeah.
I wrote that the other day. I think that some people's Instagrams exhaust me because I know how long it took to get that picture perfect. And then it clicked one day for me. Like, how does this person always have a great photographer taking pictures of them? No, they're by themselves with a tripod and a remote control, taking that perfect picture, candid picture. Like, oh, out of the shower. Whoops.
Oh,
and
dear.
you slimmed out this, and you lengthened that, and you put the filter with the bunny ears, and you don't even know what you look like anymore.
Oh my God, yeah, no, for sure. And it's just getting crazier with the I just saw somebody like the technology that they're doing where they replace your face.
Oh my God, the deep fakes, yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know what's happening anymore. Like I just look around, like this is the beginning. Like this in 10 years, we're not going to know what's real anymore. Like what's happening?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I just saw this Jim Carrey, Jack Nicholson thing where they deep faked Jim Carrey's face over Jack Nicholson doing The Shining, and it was like, wow, that's really, really good.
It's so creepy. It's so creepy.
It's so creepy. But I'm hoping what I'm starting to see now is, every summer my guy and I would go up to his parents' summer house up in the woods of Sweden, and the whole family just spends time together. The whole family, and we don't watch TV. We're in the lake, swimming, boating, fishing, having dinners together, taking naps wherever, playing board games, telling stories. And,
that sounds amazing.
and the kids put their phones away.
So
they're not all there stuck in the phones, and the ones that are kind of get shunned by the ones that don't have their phones. Like you're missing this time to hang out. Yeah. We can check this at 10 o'clock when we go to bed. You don't have to check it now.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
Not to mention just physically what it's doing to these kids' necks and their eyes and their,
Oh, headaches and I have migraines. Like, yeah, well, you're staring at a computer all day.
Terrible posture, looking down at your phone and like not being aware of the world around you at all. Like people looking on their map when they get out of the subway instead of just look up. The street sign is right there.
Yeah,
Dwayne Reed is right across the street. You're looking for it on your phone. Look with your eyes. And you just miss so much beauty. You miss so many little things, and it puts you in danger as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're not paying attention to your surroundings. You might get hit by something. You might get robbed. Who knows?
Might get robbed, fall into a manhole. You don't know.
Yeah. Like I tell people I learned to be aware of my surroundings the hard way by just being out, and like I can't imagine these kids on their phones walking around in Peru. They would get robbed in 5 seconds.
Instantly. Instantly.
Yeah, like oh my God. But anyway, I don't want to sound like an old cranky man, but
a fuddy-duddy.
So the music, Alekhine's Gun. You guys, are you putting something out?
Yes. Actually, we are heading into the studio in a couple of weeks. Put out a couple of songs that we've been sitting on for a while. We had planned to do an album. It's a long story, but everyone's, life gets in the way because unfortunately we're not all musicians as a vocation. All of us, we can't. Right. We don't all have free time. So and some babies happen, some marriages happen, some things happen, promotions happen, moving happened.
Yeah.
We had some songs on the back burner for a while, and we're like, let's get them out there. We worked on them, we love them, and they'll be out into the public soon. That's all I can say.
Cool.
But they'll be out soon. It's been too long also.
Yeah. Do you have in your mind that you want to do a different project at some point, or you want to stay in that death metal realm?
Yes, I have some solo stuff happening, and me and my guy have a little side thing it's pretty much just for our enjoyment. And no one will know it's us kind of thing, and it will also be out in the world at some point, but no one will know it's us, and we like it like that. It's like all kinds of music. It's whatever we think of at 2 a.m.
Nice.
Whether it's a rap song, a techno song, a country song, whatever.
Good.
So. Yeah, so we have that happening too as well. But and I'm talking to a few other musicians that play different music where I can collaborate because of my hectic schedule. Collaborate on a song or two. Last year I did a song with Valhalla. They're like a witch house, dark electro gothic band. I played violin on their last album called Grimoire.
Nice.
I was able to collaborate with Brick by Brick and do some guest vocals on their album. They're New York hardcore band, one of my favorites. Love those guys.
Oh, that's good. There's a venue here in San Diego called Brick by Brick. That's what when you said it, I was like, wait, what?
This New York hardcore band, great guys, tough guy, old school. Point that finger, beat down. You got it.
Nice.
So I was able to work with them this year and do a little guest vocals on that. So I'm always open to that, to collaborating with all kinds of music and all different types of music.
So is that something like, are you going to be focusing on that now since, the big show is over? Are you focusing a lot more on music, or are you trying to find more show, like a new show to get on or a movie or something like that?
I've done several movies since the show ended. One is called Giving Birth to a Butterfly. That will be out hopefully later this year. Nice. Another one that I did with Time Daly and Janine Garofalo called Bread Factory Parts 1 and 2. That's available on demand and right now on Apple or iTunes, iTV. I don't know I'm a
Apple TV?
I'm a Microsoft person. I don't know about this Apple whatever stuff. On demand and Amazon, and it will be on Netflix soon as well.
Nice.
But it got some great reviews all across the board. It's a throwback kind of to that 70s, 80s feel, shot on film, about gentrification, 2-part film. But it's not a straightforward movie. For example, in the middle of a scene, in a diner, everyone in the diner starts tap dancing. And then the scene will continue. It's a magical realism, but with a very heavy commentary on what is art and what do we consider art now. We've all been there. You walk into an art gallery, you see a chair. Go to sit down, they're like, no, that's a piece, that's art. I don't know what's art anymore. Yeah. So there's a commentary on that, and there's also the commentary on gentrification, which is happening in the town that we shot it in up in Hudson, New York, where you have all these hipsters and artists and people that are feeling like suffocated by the city and the prices and all that, start finding new places to branch out, and then they come in and kind of destroy the charm of the very charm they were looking for. They come in and destroy it. So kind of timely.
Yeah, that's good.
So in my role in the 2 parts, there's a part of a magical realism part where I'm just a regular waitress in this small town, and I'm asked to participate in the play. And once the play begins, now the movie shifts and it becomes a film as if we were filming this play in the 70s, and it is spot on, perfect, as if we were doing Titus Andronicus or Electra or whatever was the actual film. And then it drops back out into the reality again. It's really, really brilliant. Director nice. Patrick Wayne.
And this is the bread factory, you said?
A Bread Factory parts 1 and 2.
I'll look it up. I'm definitely going to look for that.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I would say definitely the stoners out there will probably really appreciate it.
And is this? Are you going to keep looking for more stuff? Is acting like going to be? Oh, yes, is that your primary?
I'm an artist. I have my auditions. I'm doing voiceovers, going in for cartoons and nice. Going in for TV shows, going in for film. I've never felt that I had to choose one or the other. It hasn't gotten to that point. If I'm doing music and I'm touring, well, then I'm not acting. And if I'm acting, then I'm not touring or whatever. It's a flow. It's not one or the other. It's whatever comes across my table.
Nice. No, that's how you should be. That's good. Because, sometimes you're not, maybe you're doing great with acting and then you get burned out on acting and like, you know what? I don't want to do this right now.
Believe me, it's very hard. It's one of the meanest professions to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're constantly fighting for work. I mean, I don't think many people understand that unless you're a freelancer, what it's like to constantly fight for work. Because once one job ends, that's it. It's over. Yeah, you need a new job. But then you're not just fighting for work. You have to fight against your friends,
mm-hmm.
So it's every time you walk in to get that job, you're going to see 20, 30 people that they're all in your phone book. They're all your friends. And it's not necessarily the best person doesn't necessarily get the job. It could be the person now, the new thing with the most social media numbers or who's more famous or there's so many things that are out of your control. For example, let's say they cast you and you're 5'7", but then the leading man is 5'5". Now, well, they got to recast you because it looks funny. Little things, or you look too much like the guy that cut you off. You look too much like the guy that cut the casting director off in the morning. Now she's mad at you. She sees your face. She thinks about that guy. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's cutthroat. And I mean, I live out here now in LA, and I've been hanging out too much in Hollywood, and I see it. It's so cutthroat, and everyone's just, and even people that you would think are like super successful, like big names that you're like, oh, they're fine, right? Nope, they're still going auditions.
Success is an illusion.
Yeah.
Success cannot be determined by any other person than the person living that life.
Yep.
And your success is you're content with what you're doing. That is success. If you're doing what you love, you're doing what you can do, you're providing for yourself, you're happy, that's success. Whether that's auditioning all the time or living in a cabin in the woods, that's success.
Yep. No, I agree. I'm very happy with with the way things have been going for me success-wise. Like, I'm not rich, I don't have money, but just being able to do the podcast, being able to have a job in a house, like a roof, not be homeless in LA, which is like pretty hard. It's very expensive to live out here, but I go out and I see these, the most successful people that I acknowledge as successful people are all exhausted. Because
it's exhausting to try to maintain. Mm-hmm. You have to try to maintain this kind of level of visibility, or people will forget you. It's really that simple. Yeah. So it is exhausting. You do have to do those. At one point it's like you have to do at least one Instagram a day, or people are going to drop off. It's exhausting. I don't feel like it today.
Yeah.
or with my life, having so many fingers and so many different pies, so to speak. You're like, meditation class Wednesday, and then all meditation people are like all happy, but then like the people that want to see you just as your character, or they want to see you on the red carpet, they're not so happy. Then you post, the heavy metal picture, like, great show last night. You're like all corpse paint and bloody and sweaty. Nobody wants to see that except the metal people. So it's like juggling all these things, and for me, I feel like I have to be as sincere as possible, or then it's all inauthentic.
Yeah. No, so what you're saying is you need 3 social media accounts.
And I can barely deal with one. That was a suggestion. Like, why don't you do one metal one pretty one, and one happy one? I'm like, no, because I'm not 3 people. I'm one person, and it's possible to be more than one thing.
Yeah.
It's possible to be a well-rounded individual, even if it seems like some of the things you do contradict each other. They don't. Because if you read Alekhine's Guns lyrics, most of those lyrics are taken from Tibetan Buddhism, some holy books like the Abhidharmakosha and the Bodhisattva. These are books on meditation, on training the mind, on developing compassion and wisdom, things like that. So maybe it's not obvious. We call that in Buddhism skillful means, where you take, what you're given and use it in a way that is not so obvious. Mm-hmm. So mostly all the lyrics are Buddhist meditation.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't subscribe to a specific thing. I've been through a lot. I've had out-of-body experiences due to a car accident. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of exploration in the spiritual realm, and I agree with everyone. Whatever you need works. And mm-hmm. But out of all of them, the one that I relate the most is Buddhism. Like, that's the one that I'm like, this is as close as anyone's gotten.
Yeah, it's very logical. It's really good for very logical people.
Yeah,
I think, because it doesn't require blind faith. It is like cause and effect. If you do this, this will happen. Mm-hmm. If you do this, that will happen. There's no because God said so. Not saying that doesn't work for some people either, because that does work for some people.
Sure.
But if you're someone who questions a lot, this does work. And I have seen in my lifetime how it's changed the way I think, how I act, how I feel. It's helped me with depression, and I was a really depressed and angry kid, and I would say for no reason, because I had everything growing up. But if you dig deep enough, you'll find the reason. And that's the only way it works, is if you try it. I can't tell you, bananas taste great, and I can talk to you for days about it. I can try to explain it. I can draw it. But until you do it yourself, you won't know what it tastes like, and you have to still decide if they still taste great. So that's kind of Buddhism in a nutshell when it comes to practice. I can only talk about it so much, but until you do it, you will never know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But you can see a whole bunch of people eating bananas being damn happy.
And have you done, or do you do any kind of martial art? Like, because you have that discipline and that state of mind that would lend itself to that.
Yes, my mom was a study of karate and jeet kune do when I was younger, so I did a little bit of that with her. And then as I got older, I started to do kung fu and Muay Thai.
Nice.
So that's definitely
so you like kicking?
Discipline. Love kicking and punching. And New York Hardcore Pits was my other martial art, of course. I was one of those Mortal Kombat kids.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I mean, the discipline also comes from music. I grew up in the classical world, so
Yeah.
that requires a lot of discipline because your teacher feels that you're wasting their time, they will leave you.
Yeah.
And if you play in an orchestra and you're not doing your homework, you're not practicing, someone will take your seat away, and you'll get pushed further and further back into the orchestra until you are asked to leave. So if you want something, you have to put that time and effort into it, period. That's how I grew up. So that's kind of like instilled in my nature. Not saying that I don't fight laziness every day, but you have to fight it.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. That's why I love, martial arts, MMA, and wrestling and all of that, because that's where I got my discipline. Like I did take music classes and everything, and I was a musician for 10 years and everything, but my discipline came from martial arts. Like that's where I learned it. I would get my ass kicked every day, and stand in line, do this, make if you work for it, you'll get it, and you see the physical results there. Like you get better as you practice, and that taught me that taught me in everything in life. Like, oh, I want to be in a band, or I want to be a musician, a podcaster, or I want to be an actor. Like you need to go grind. Go work.
You need to do it, right? It doesn't just happen, which is like I feel like a lot of these younger kids that don't have that because they like this, how do you say, fast results, easy results? No, that's not quite the thing.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification culture. They're like, well, I got really good at guitar, so I should be famous. Boom, like that's it.
Yeah. I posted this video of me in my bedroom, tapping away.
I hate to tell you this, but being good is not enough. Being great is not enough. There's so many more facets to everything than just to be good.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to teach them because, you see the president and he's that type of person. It's I'm awesome. Aren't I awesome? Look how awesome I am. What have you done that's awesome again? Oh, wait, look how awesome I am. It's
yeah.
That's all it is. Whatever your political views are, like that's who that guy is.
That's what he does. He reminds you how he's a person that runs his resume every single time he opens his mouth. But people, I always find in life the people that constantly name drop and constantly remind you who they used to be or what they've done are not doing shit now.
Mm-hmm. I battle with that sometimes. I try not to name drop. I battle with myself. It's like, no, don't say anything.
Don't do it. Unless you're trying to establish a connection with someone, there's no reason to name drop. I mean, there's people I know that drop names like, flies on an August day. I don't know. It's just like every 2 seconds it's someone else's name. It's like trying to prove that by knowing someone famous makes you automatically famous. Where that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
People, if you've done your work, if you are who you say you are, or you want us to, we will already know who you are. And sometimes, you know what? You don't know at all who the person who you're talking to is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the most famous person in the room. And that person, I find, the most famous people I've met have been the most humble and most sincere, and you would not even know who they are unless someone tells you, unless you already knew them. They're not going to say, don't you know who I am?
Right.
Those don't you know who I am people is because no one cares.
Oh, that's true. My God, it is true. Yeah. It's I see it often. It's awesome to see because it's an interesting thing to me. I'm fascinated by people. And that's why I did the podcast, because I just like finding out about people, what makes them tick, what makes them go, and seeing that mentality. Like, let me into this party. I demand.
At the end of the day, it comes from insecurity. A lot of people that gravitate towards these professions that we have, it's, of course, some of us are artists or whatever we are that have this creative energy in us, but that also makes us very sensitive. And also we need love and acceptance. But then the circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger, until you love and accept yourself. There's no amount of accolades or likes or endorsements or money that's going to stop you from feeling insecure. That's going to stop you from running that resume. It's until you're good with yourself. that everything falls into place.
Hell yeah. I mean, what more perfect way to end it? Thank you so much for that. That was that was awesome. You are a badass. I just got to tell you, you know, like I said, I know that we're trying to move away from that mentality of treating you differently, but you know, it's inspiring to see. You know, you're in a band, you're breaking cliches everywhere aside from just the gender. Like, actors don't typically do well in music, and you know, stuff like that. So I give you major props.
You know, there's that saying, you know, be the person that you wish you had when you were growing up, and I think that's what I'm trying to do. You know, I get offers all the time to do things, and I have this question sometimes, like, will my Titi Ruti get mad at me if I do this? Which is kind of like my conscience, you know, my inner conscience, my gut, that integrity, you know, like, is there anything wrong with posing in a bikini on a car? No. But is that what I want to show that little girl that looks up to me? Like, that's your only way to use your body if you have other skills. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I think, you know, there's so much of that out there that there needs to be other people showing these young ones that there are other ways, and there are other, your value is not just on this imaginary standard that is proposed to you by conglomerations and companies and things like that. You have so much more to offer than the shell that you're in. Hell yeah.
And I think you're doing a tremendous job of that with your work. It shows. And yeah, I mean, just, I would say keep grinding, but you're already doing that.
I'm grinding right now.
Thank you so much for your time. You know,
well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have some mutual friends. Chris Enriquez told me to say what's up.
Yes, I love Chris. Yeah. It was just National Hug a Drummer Day, so I sent him a virtual hug because he's awesome.
Yeah, that dude rules. And I think you know Barnett. I'm not sure if you're...
Yes, love Josh. He's a great homie. Known him, but I've been backing him since the MySpace days, so it's been an honor and so cool to see him grow, like, over all these years and see how far he's come. He's a great person, true, great heart, and honest, integrity, all that good things. You know, so I'm so happy to call him a friend of mine.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, he and I have gotten close recently. We've been hanging out at the Comedy Store, and here I am name dropping. So I'm going to stop.
Oh, you name dropping? No. You're establishing connection. That's the one time. Establishing connection is good.
Yeah, but no, I do appreciate you, and you know, hopefully we'll run into each other. I know you're in the other side of the country, but I know that the band eventually will probably hit the road. So maybe we'll see you on the road.
Yes, I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
All right. Well, take care so much. Thank you again for your time. I know you're busy as hell. So.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and thanks for everyone that listened.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.